All right, well, let's take a look at Quick and Bands and keep the conversation up because, you know, it is an interesting conversation, you know, given his results versus Rafa. But here we have Corrupted Keep, Awoken, Ruins, Blood, Covenant, and Molten Falls as the potential decider. Taking a look at the champs. Gentlemen, what do you think?
I think it's definitely a lot better picks in terms of the matchups of cnz than we saw against Rafa, less imbalanced. Corrupted Keep, we've not seen the best of cnz throughout this tournament, so that's probably why DaHanG picks it first. And I do like him going with Galena rather than the Anarchy that we've seen in the past. It gives him much more of a foothold in terms of combat capabilities to take DaHanG head on. There's no really worrying matchups as I would have seen earlier, so overall there's not a lot to shout about in terms of the overall strategy choices from cnz from my perspective.
Well, great. Then that means I'm going to make you guys do predictions. How about that? Take that. Like that. 40 Lions are starting with you.
Yeah. I think cnz has had a great tournament thus far, but I think it might come to a close here. I don't think it's going to be as bad as Rafa, but a double dose of liquid back-to-back is rough. I think it might be closer to a 3-2, but I think it's going to go DaHanG's way.
I think DaHanG is going to be rough for cnz just from what we've seen, particularly against Rafa early in the day. Like, the fundamentals of cnz's play wasn't there. He wasn't able to get on items. He didn't look that sharp, and DaHanG plays so well around those factors. I think it would be a 3-1 DaHanG.
Yeah, I'm going to have to echo ZSX's statement. I think it's going to be 3-1 as well. The maps don't really favour each other, but then again, DaHanG is way too good of a player. He adapts way too quickly, and it could be just a bit too much for cnz.
All right, well, it looks like we're ready to hop into this next one. It is DaHanG versus cnz. Let's shoot it on over to Ketchup and Flea.
Well, things are getting pretty interesting here, Flea, as we're now going into our first map. DaHanG and cnz, two players that are methodical, disciplined, patient. And I am curious, knowing DaHanG, he was watching these matches, and there's all the chance that he was able to really notice what Rafa was doing to make cnz's life so difficult, right? I wonder if he's going to try and do the same thing.
I definitely think it's extremely possible. Both of the Liquid boys have relatively similar play styles, and it is up to cnz to put a stop to that. Personally, I'm hoping that we're seeing more of his aim form that we saw yesterday. His aim against Rafa, of course, the man picks his spots, his fights only on his own terms, so that immediately makes it more difficult for you to reach that full aiming potential. But I just didn't see cnz dish out the same kind of damage that he had been putting out yesterday. So if he can manage that, he will have a much better shot at fighting DaHanG. Now, relatively slow start, no major engagements just yet. Oh, DaHanG actually taking a whole lot of damage here. cnz still sticking around. He's got some armor to work with, has got the better health stack as well, but both players will break away.
But quite wisely, cnz's not going to overstay his welcome near heavy. There's plenty of optimization you can do before it spawns. DaHanG using this as an opportunity to at least take one of these two items. Stack-wise, cnz absolutely in favor. And there's no delay between the two of the items. And there's the initial push. The lightning gun coming out. Pika going to be so much more effective on Corrupted Keep because the lack of the rail means you can't just get it out, deal with it in the blink of an eye. But the lack of armor is a problem that DaHanG is currently sitting on. cnz is using this to push on. He wants to break that cycle. And DaHanG forced to disengage. And there's like no resources in the nail gun room. And this will be a finish. DaHanG, oh, the trade! That was best case scenario for him, absolutely.
Yeah, cnz is not going to be happy about that one. He absolutely should have walked away with a clean frag there and then would have been able to pick up either Mega or Heavy, whatever suited him the most in that situation. And now he ended up trading, doesn't have a lightning gun, finds himself in a bad position, but these rockets are lifesavers. Shoddy, a little more will do it. And cnz putting himself in the lead. Very little delay between the two items, and they're still 10 seconds out, so he doesn't immediately have anything at the ready to start perhaps a good rotation or manifest some solid control. Small armor will be there, of course. He noticed DaHanG pick it up during that previous engagement. And now cnz looking awfully healthy, but of course, playing Galena, what he wants is heavy. Mega, of course, it's always nice to pick up, but heavy is what you want when you can generate your own health.
That was quite an irritating Pika, though. Those Hyper Blasters doing so much damage to cnz when he had a nice stack to work with originally. Pretty even, all things considered, but
Yeah, it's very clever from DaHanG to use the peeker that way, because he knows that if he just rushes in with the kamikaze, cnz will switch to the shotgun and destroy it anyways. By staying back the way he has, there's nothing that cnz can really do to instantly defuse the threat, and so by the time that he has peppered enough heavy machine gun or LG damage down towards the drone, DaHanG, of course, would have done a fair bit of damage himself. Good little trap from cnz, but unable to really push it to the limit. Definitely didn't get out as much damage as he was hoping for in that engagement, and I think that that is going to raise some alarm bells for DaHanG, knowing that cnz is already approaching the game like this with these sneaky little traps and setups. That is going to raise his eyebrows a bit, and he might adapt his playstyle.
The rocket's not going to do much damage, if anything. And I'm liking this slow pace from cnz, where he's not being crazy push heavy. There always seems to be this one area that he can retreat to. Lots of rocket spam as well, just those corners to take. But when the time is right for him to spring the attack, he will do it. And it looks like another one's going to come out. But he gets down. Uh-oh, floor is lava in chat, 100%. But he is able to at least take this heavy, so that could have gone a lot worse.
I'm not sure if DaHanG realized just how much damage cnz took from that dip in the lava. That was quite a bit more than he was hoping to take, no doubt. cnz, though, his reads are looking pretty solid. The aim ain't half bad either. Mega isn't up for a long time, boy. You can't be there, and DaHanG gets the high ground. The rockets fall short, and the American will tie things right back up 2-2.
Now DaHanG is going to have to spend this time waiting for the heavy to spawn, thankfully, because it is Corrupted Keep. Ah, hang on a minute, that sounds like a little bit of a fake, potentially. Or he's just building up some of that potential movement. Both items have spawned, not a massive gap between the two, so we find ourselves in that kind of square one situation if we're talking about the items alone. And with it being a 2-2 as well, I wonder who's going to be the player next.
5-minute warning.
Try and interrupt, the halfway point's already been met. cnz gets a wonderful amount of damage. DaHanG pushing in, but he might get punished here. cnz looking to stay safe, but that one rocket is a very scary one to hit. DaHanG forced to retreat, gets pushed away, and he can't even get the mega. cnz pushes him away with the LG, and this is one of the best times to get that frag. He's going to spawn near rocket. No trade this time, however, as cnz scores another one in the bag. This would be some 3 LG damage.
Yeah, and good attempt from cnz at forcing the spawn out as well. He knows that that small armor is still up at the top. Is going to loop back around to ensure that it doesn't go his opponent's way. Liking the plays from cnz right now. This is solid. He got that at the exact right time, as you mentioned yourself. Picked up Mega, small armor to help him out as well. The only problem now is that DaHanG has secured that heavy. So he is still in a very solid fighting shape. Now, the one thing that DaHanG is lacking, I believe, is the lightning gun. And cnz is acutely aware of this. He knows that he might still be able to deny that weapon, or at least pepper DaHanG full of damage if he exposes himself up to the lightning gun, because it is such a difficult item to get out with. Gonna catch sight of DaHanG, do a bit of damage onto the Strog.
This is, to me, quite the classic cnz game, where he's slightly in the lead, but it's a comfortable lead, and he's now going to play on this lead heavily. You know, he's going to make his presence known on some of these items. He's not going to allow DaHanG to take some of them for free unless he's comfortable for it to be the case, and he's going to be careful for the remaining 3.5 minutes. cnz, not really a risk taker. He's the kind of player where if he knows something is likely, he'll do it, but if not, he will never overextend. It's why Rafa was able to kind of bully him in a lot of those maps, but with this kind of matchup, a much more significant lead. Some pretty okay rocket damage initially, but nothing to really write home about compared to DaHanG's LG, and he runs out of ammo. That was a disastrous, dare I say, messy fight from cnz. Whoa!
Okay.
Yeah, I took the words out of my mouth, mate.
cnz should not have pushed back in with that totem. He thought that he could come out on top of that engagement by dropping the totem, getting that health injection, but that was so risky, and he can't afford to lose out on these situations. 2.5 minutes left on the clock for a 2-frag lead. Don't engage here, cnz. You know how that turns out. You don't want to take that fight when you don't have a lightning gun, even though you've got the high ground. Good rockets. Oh no, he dropped the totem up on the stairs. Didn't get the healing. This is risky. He wants to go back to the totem. He knows exactly where it is too. This could be problematic. Luckily for him, DaHanG taking the long way around. DaHanG was looking for cnz, trying to catch him off guard at Rocket and maybe get an easy frag, but cnz was just going right for the main prize, the lightning gun and the mega health, as he still hangs on to that lead. This is looking promising for the Estonian, Ketchup.
Yes, it is. We have less than 2 minutes on the clock now. The 2 frags that DaHanG really needs at this stage. Corrupted Keep, your life is on the line in this kind of situation because it's so easy to get 1 frag, catch a good spawn, push on, then you've got a second. You could blink, and DaHanG has been able to stabilize things here. The cnz running the heavy. And he's starting to set up shop around this corner. It is notoriously harder to chase champions in this part of the map. It is going to be an edge of movement though. When DaHanG needs to chase, he'll be able to do that with his crouch slide. Here comes the Pika. Gets rid of it almost immediately. DaHanG playing no games. If there's a risk, he's out. And now cnz surviving for just short of a minute. 1 more of those and he's going to be in business. The rockets have been fantastic to keep DaHanG at bay as well. The super shotgun is hurting so much. And cnz would have heard just how weak DaHanG is. The pre-death scream coming out from Strog. Music to your ears if you're 1 minute away from winning a map.
I like the decision to still apply pressure and not just run away for these past 2 minutes, because we know it's Corrupted Keep. If you drop 1 frag, it is so likely that your opponent is immediately going to be able to follow that up with another kill. So cnz wants to continue doing damage and stop DaHanG from getting too comfortable and just outstacking him tremendously. And he did a good job at making sure that there's no delay between the items. So if DaHanG goes for 1, he might be able to just steal away the other, and that could prevent his opponent, the American from Liquid, to just get that massive stack and bully him around. Now with 25 seconds left on the clock, he is just going to run down the timer, it seems. Good defensive rockets, 1 more should do it. Can he find it? DaHanG still alive.
If DaHanG doesn't get him right now, there's no chance. He needs to get a frag now, get a spawn, rush it. But with this time being wasted, it has just become a GG. cnz, those defensive rockets were everything. If he did less damage in that exchange, there would have been a fight. The 10-minute mark has hit, and it's going to be cnz taking that first map. And it was much more of a cnz style map, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Able to play that game, that slow, patient, careful game. But when the fights happen, he takes the fights extremely well. His accuracy is really strong. Those rockets at the very end, saving his skin. That was the time DaHanG needed to score a frag. There was no other time after that.
I'm surprised to how close the items were. 19 majors versus 18 for cnz. You would expect DaHanG to just completely overrun his opponent when it comes to that aspect of the game, but cnz held his own terribly well. Really solid positioning, evasive plays for days, and also of course he had the endurance. There were a few mistakes like this situation. He never should have went back into the room hoping that the totem alone would give him the victory, but still overall extremely solid performance on map 1, which was of course Corrupted Keep. cnz, I think he, you know, the impossible might just have become a little more possible for the man from B100 Esports for Estonia, as we are about to load into our second map.
I really like that team's jerseys as well. Their jerseys and their like jackets and stuff like that. The branding is on point. Maybe I'm just biased for red. Don't know what gave that away. But as we're going into our next map, it's going to be Awoken. Now DaHanG is, for lack of a better term, pretty damn good on this map. And if we're talking about the picks alone, another one where it's as you expect, right? So DaHanG's got the Doomslayer, the utility of the double jump. One of the few maps where the Berserk can actually be used aggressively too. We've seen it the last few weeks where players have started to really play Doomslayer. Not differently as such, but it's just when you can work the Berserk into part of your combos, people are doing it now because there's hourglasses that you can shut down for other people. If you're against Ranger, you don't want him to have orbs free of charge. You know, if he's able to run around and take all the hourglasses for himself, it's a nightmare situation.
Absolutely, and I think we've actually seen DaHanG use the Berserk successfully on this map yesterday against some of his American brethren. There was one situation where he was caught down at heavy. I still vividly remember it. I don't remember exactly who it was up against, but DaHanG was down at heavy, shot a rail, and then he was just caught off guard because his opponent just jumped into the room, and rather than try to switch weapons, wait for the reload, he just popped the Berserk and went for it. Pummel, and that was it. So it definitely is a viable ability in certain situations, even offensively so. So as you mentioned, DaHanG has got that base mobility, But cnz has got the orb, and the orb gives you more of a vertical edge over your opponents. You can use it to go through that hole in the wall down at heavy, or as we've seen Rafa do earlier today, actually just go straight through the teleporter and completely catch your opponent off guard. So cnz had that happen to him earlier today. Hopefully he's better equipped to deal with it now.
As we go into this initial start, this is where the map will often be at its slowest. Neither player wants to push too hard. DaHanG able to get some of that base stack back up, and it is the armor that's going to help him a great deal. The Dire Orb, as long as the orb exists, cnz's going to have that extra trump card of a burst that he can just pull whenever he wants. But you have to make that choice though. Do you use the orb for mobility? Do you use it to chase? Do you use it in combat? There are many layers to it, but many potentials to get an orb at a bad time, right? So you need to be pretty confident in your play.
Rockets being exchanged. DaHanG will drop down that orb. cnz rightfully hanging on to it until he got in the perfect situation. Of course, playing Ranger also makes it so that you take less self-damage from your own explosives. And that, of course, helps out tremendously in these close quarter engagements where you can just get face to face with your opponent, giving them a big smooch and then a rocket plus orb for good measure. And that's exactly what cnz did there as well. He has a stack advantage, but positionally tremendously outplayed right now. DaHanG is up above. Good little rail. cnz actually railable, sticking around a bit too long. Didn't want to run straight for the helpable, knowing that that would be a little bit of a predictable path to take. But DaHanG nails him nevertheless.
Ooh, the surprise attack. cnz not really getting as much mileage off that orb as I think he wanted, and having the tribal almost instantly. The idea was there, but he just wasn't able to obtain that damage. Here comes DaHanG with those rails. cnz's going to have a rail of his own, actually, so he knows he's going to have to show that quite a lot of respect. DaHanG is the one that controls. We've said it so many times, that rocket was the money shot. Love it.
Yep, DaHanG already getting a solid advantage, and now it is so important for cnz to stop that liquid diesel engine from finally kicking into gear. He cannot allow his opponent to just cycle through the items. We know that DaHanG virtually never, ever mistimes an item. This man is a human clock. And if he gets control, if he asserts himself around the center area of the map, there is so little you can do about it, especially when he's rocking the Doomslayer. He's got that double jump to work with. He can just sit on that T portion of the map and hold that for as long as he like, constantly punishing cnz every single time the Estonian shows his face.
I think the picks have absolutely favored DaHanG in this situation. That double jump's going to allow him to have this mobility to get to these items so much quicker than almost anyone else, and it is the items that DaHanG is famous for playing around. This is quite the classic DaHanG match so far, where he's, for the past 3 minutes or so, he's been able to run this cycle. A fight's going to break out, but of course he's not going to push in. cnz had the LG position at the very least. And DaHanG's going to just play this carefully. A big push from cnz and some pretty damn good rockets to boot. But the rail is good from DaHanG. He's pretty notorious for rarely using his zoom as well, is DaHanG. I'd love to see it. It's such a simple thing, but there's something that I really love watching about it. Just the flicks.
I think that was a bit of a disappointing encounter for cnz though, because he had started so well on making a comeback happen. First, just by staying on the LG side of the map, getting small resources up to 100-100, and then just through clever positional plays, set up towards the Mega, and just cut off DaHanG completely. His opponent couldn't make a move onto the item, because he knew that he had to push through a bad choke point to do so, and that gave cnz the stack advantage to then move onto the Heavy as well, and have a really sizable stack advantage. But still, DaHanG holding his ground. The rail to the face repeatedly, so even shut down our B100 players' advance. Good little rail though, cnz. Needs more of them, but it's a start.
Now DaHanG absolutely in a favorable position. He's got the center of the map, and that's a lot of information on Awoken. And this is his go-ahead to back out. Here, coming around the corner. It's just a game of surviving. Bit of a fake. Ooh, maybe setting up a little bit of a trap. Using the jump pad and then popping that double jump. One of the underrated tools of Doomslayer, being able to use a jump pad and double jump almost instantly to fake out the movement.
5-minute warning.
Very patient plays by DaHanG. He's actually a player that sticks around towards that bottom heavy machine gun area quite often. I feel like more so than many of the others. There's a lot of players who just completely avoid that area like the plague, but DaHanG knows that it is a strong position on the map, gives you a lot of information as well as some decent escape routes if your opponent were to catch you out. And now DaHanG using that mobility from the Doomslayer perfectly, landing a nice rail. Every single time cnz is picking up one of these major items, DaHanG is right there to punish him. That timing perfect from the American. Ow! But the orb right back at you, cnz says. Really good play from DaHanG though, just waiting there, hearing his opponent jump down, and then he springs that trap through the LG. Once again an LG fight, and it's looking like DaHanG reigning supreme though. cnz unable to really get footing even when he gets a frag.
That has been a consistent problem. cnz's frags haven't really meant as much as DaHanG. As when DaHanG gets one, he's near an item, he's able to establish dominance that lasts a few minutes of this exchange, this back and forth. This should by all means be another frag. But when cnz lands one, DaHanG's able to refrag within the next few seconds, and we're pretty much right back at square one. With the way things are going, we're absolutely going to even things up now, 1-1. Unless cnz's able to pull off this comeback. Isn't quite able to get it, and cnz's not going to teleport to that because the Mega has spawned. He's been able to survive long enough to get an item that's bringing him back into this fight. He's definitely got time to finish as well. Only 4 frags in about 3.5 minutes. That's definitely doable.
DaHanG though, not in the greatest of positions right now. Outstacked quite severely, so one more rail should take him down. cnz. Are we going to see a bit more aggression? cnz was waiting down at the teleporter for a moment, hoping to catch DaHanG running for that small armor. But DaHanG, smart player, the accountant, very well practiced and seasoned veteran. He knows exactly what his opponent is up to and just held back ever so slightly before jumping across, thereby evading a lot of the damage. That rocket, it's gonna be more information than anything else, given how cnz is just running the items right now. Perfect split on them too, around 15 seconds between Mega and Heavy. cnz continues this. There we go. Aggressive push through the doorway, or teleporter rather. Copying exactly what Rafa did to him earlier. Slightly less effectively so this time, but nevertheless, these kinds of pushes are what's needed to keep DaHanG on his toes. You need to start pulling that stack. That is not the way to go about it though.
A rocket from that far away when you're being chased, hitting for 97 is a damn good shot. And DaHanG will continue to play this more reserved style of play as cnz is swiftly running out of time. And the rockets continue to be a thorn in the backside. cnz just cannot mount any kind of position here on DaHanG. But this is the benefit of DaHanG. His double jump is helping him reposition faster. Always ready for a rail or a rocket. The rockets have been a real pain the past few minutes. We have less than 2 minutes on the clock. He's going to put himself in position for this heavy, but the lack of HP that he's working with is not going to save him from a rail. That one little bubble might help, but this is still a fight that DaHanG can win. What a rail as well, to put him even more behind than he was before. And the more behind you are, the more time you have to spend to lick your wounds, recover, get the stack back up, and that's time spent not fighting. And with less than 1.5 minutes left to go of this map, this has just been DaHanG showing his dominance.
Yeah.
The Daisy for good measure, and I think this has to be a GG at this point. Unless there's a miracle comeback, I don't see it.
2 words, rockets and rails. That is all that DaHanG needed. Of course, much more went into his game than that. But those were definitely the deciding factor in those final few minutes of this matchup. Every single time cnz made something happen, DaHanG was right there for him. Now, 4 frags, 1 minute, possible in theory. But that mobility, the Doomslayer, so sneaky, slippery, evasive. cnz has absolutely no clue where DaHanG is at. DaHanG is just waiting patiently around the Mega area, burning precious seconds of the clock, and it doesn't look like cnz is able to do anything about it, and indeed catch up. With this little time left, there is just no way for the Estonian to catch up with the boy from Liquid. Looks like DaHanG taking that first map loss in stride, resetting his composure, and taking it home on map 2.
Goes in for the Berserk for good measure at the very end. Rare footage of Berserk being used to escape for good results. And with 5 seconds on the clock, this was 100% a done deal. And DaHanG really felt like Awoken was a map that he had a really good chance on. DaHanG has been, sort of tournament proven to be strong on this map. It plays to his strengths, the quick levels of control you can play. He's always got a nice short and snappy rail, which means a great deal on Awoken, but the double jump is just insanely strong, and the orb from cnz wasn't able to have as much presence as we do sometimes see. And a big part of that is that when cnz's far away and he has even a shred of a chance to make something happen, DaHanG hits a rail, DaHanG hits a rocket, maybe two, and any stack or chance that cnz has built up, you click your fingers and it's just been taken away. So then he has to kind of spend that time rebuilding his resources back up to try and make the next push, and then the exact same thing happens again. DaHanG's positioning was nearly flawless on the map.
cnz definitely made a few precious mistakes here and there as we're watching the frags back, some of the highlights of this game. It is very clear sometimes his positioning wasn't quite on point, like that first frag that he gave up sitting down towards that heavy nail gun, rather than just making his way through the teleporter right off the bat where there are health bubbles available. He stuck around trying to get that extra rail in, even though DaHanG had secured the major item, and in doing so he just dropped the frag for essentially nothing. And that is a big problem when you're playing someone as calculated as DaHanG. If you make a mistake, he's going to pounce on it. He's going to make the best advantage he possibly can out of any flaw in your game. And so cnz just dropped the ball a few too many times, and then by the time that he finally started hitting those shots towards the end, DaHanG just ran away with the lead he had.
So let's have a quick chat about the next map, which is going to be Ruins of Sarnath. I do believe we're actually getting ready to load into it now, and the players have connected. Matchup-wise, a bit of an interesting one. Anarchy versus Ison. It's not one that you see every day. There's going to be that immediate stack difference, but on a map like Ruins, the mobility can mean so much in this kind of setting. If you do have the lead, and you're in that position where you can kind of take your foot off the gas a little bit and start playing more of a defensive game, that shift of gear, those fast champions really benefit from that. If they're the ones that are running away and you can't chase them, we have seen, even with a couple of minutes left on the clock, some champs, especially on a map like Ruins where there are so many possible ways you can go, you're just a real pain to chase down.
Absolutely, but of course there is a flip side to the coin when it comes to that. Picking a small, squishy, light champion on a map like this does come with a lot of downsides as well. Once you get out of control, it is so difficult to get back into the swing of things on the map that is Ruins. Why? Because you need to favor the small armors if you can't contest for the major items, and those two just so happen to be in really tricky situations on this map. If you want to take a small armor, you are exposing yourself on either the top or bottom area of the map. So many easy rails can be flying your way, so it is a risky play to go for them. So cnz has to be careful not to drop control too early on, or DaHanG can steamroll him.
Looks like we're checking things out from DaHanG's POV first. And he has got a significant amount of health and a rail. Good weapons to start things out right now. And you can clearly hear Anarchy. He's always going to be the noisy boy. His jumping sounds, his hoverboard, the passive hum. Ooh, but he gets immediately pounced on by cnz. But that is the defensive rocket that has been such an annoyance for cnz all series long. And another one of them shuts down any hope of a push.
DaHanG definitely in a bit of a stack advantage right now. Will be the first person to position himself down towards the heavy as well, cnz. I don't think he's up for the challenge, for the task of moving in to contest. He should just set up for Mega, maybe try and land the rail. DaHanG is even gonna go for it. Good positioning from cnz. He heard the bounce pad, knew exactly how DaHanG was going to approach that following situation. Didn't do any damage, but still, just the positioning, just projecting that presence was enough to push DaHanG back. Rockets from the American are strong. cnz losing a lot of footing. He has to be super powerful on the defensive right now. DaHanG knows his opponent rather is eyeing that small armor, but cnz cleverly avoiding going for it. Well played.
I like the fact that DaHanG was as patient as he was near nail gun, near Mega. I think he heard the injection get popped because of Anarchy's voice line. So you're kind of fair to assume, right, well, if he's popped injection, he's not going to be standing on Mega. He's likely reaching a little bit further, looking for an angle first. So he has to show it that respect. It is that level of optimization that makes players like DaHanG so successful in the world of competitive Quake, right? But 2 minutes on the clock, DaHanG keeping a stack advantage. Gotta say, not a lot has shifted so far. It looks like the way things began and the way things currently are, that is a really good rail to kickstart things. And Does he get a good read on the light? Actually, DaHanG, I think he had the idea that cnz was going to take that light, but cnz's damage was able to match it. And the turret, watch out! The 2v1 Flea! The turret, you love to hate to see it.
I mean, the turret, two main purposes, right? Information when your opponent walks on by, and also just to distract them and turning it indeed into what's effectively a 2v1 situation. And cnz was caught out in between those 15 damage pellets from the one side and then DaHanG's rockets from the other. Unable to do much about it, as DaHanG now starting to rev things up a little bit. He's got a good rotation going on, 10 seconds between the items. Mega first and then a quick drop down to the heavy. cnz should be so careful right now. He's already sitting up down below towards the heavy. Doesn't even have a full armor stack though, so if DaHanG decided to just bully on through, cnz would be a sitting duck. Good for him. He decides to turn around and evade his opponent for the time being.
With DaHanG in the center of the map and the stack that he's currently working on, this is his advantage. Just listen out for Anarchy. He's currently in the process of doing that. cnz is going to try and make as little noise as possible. But it's the next set of items. Heavy first. Good opening rail. Turret gets dropped down. cnz will not make the same mistake twice. This time he's going to show it tons of respect. Of course, he's had to sacrifice the heavy for this. Now there is a potential fight here. Bit of a tricky one for DaHanG to take while he's getting peppered down by that LG, though. The tri-bolt starts, and a little bit of extra tri-bolt for good measure. Does he get the shout out? Calling out the light armor. DaHanG's going to steal it away this time. That's a bit of a blow for cnz, actually. If cnz wants to take this light in the back room, it is a risk. That one light being taken, I think, has put cnz in a position where he can't really challenge these items. He's only just been able to get some armor, but this is the risk you take. Kind of stuck in no man's land, aren't you? So cnz thought it was a risk he had to go for. Is he going to be able to win this fight? The missed super shotgun, but the second one certainly doesn't, thanks to point blank. So much can stem from that one light being taken, but thankfully at least cnz's on it now.
cnz did a surprising amount of damage with the plasma right there. DaHanG definitely has to take it slow and easy for the time being. Massively outstacked, and looks like cnz will be able to not just secure the mega, but the heavy as well. DaHanG, he might have heard the pickups too. Might have gotten the timing as well. But now it's all about cnz being able to catch the ice, and of course Anarchy got far greater speed and mobility to work with, but DaHanG loving this positioning. He knows how weak Anarchy is against that super shotgun, and he's kind of counting, hoping perhaps that cnz will drop down through those small winding corridors where he can use that weapon to the greatest effect. cnz though avoids that situation like the plague, instead takes the standard route to drop down, and that forces DaHanG away.
And there seems to be very much of the same taking place here, Flea. There hasn't been really a shift of gear from either side. The NZ will patiently wait for that one opportunity to push, and he's working on that opportunity with the amount of stack he's currently working on. Having both of these items, I think DaHanG's content to let him have it for the time being. He's still not going to position himself for heavy. I like this idea from cnz where he's not going to be too hooked on taking the heavy right as it spawns. That opportunity to push out and get some bonus damage first. But that is really how you start to mount this comeback. cnz has a lot of work to do versus a champion like this that's able to just create this pressure. Here comes some LG. Mega spawns right as the frag takes place. DaHanG with the perfect timing and confidence in his aim.
That's a shame. cnz, he was really banking on catching that mega at the right time, and if he had, that would have no doubt been a frag going his way. But now, 3.5 minutes left on the clock. Things are not looking up for the Estonian right now. He still needs more armor before he can contest. I don't think he has the rockets yet. DaHanG sitting on those like a hawk. He's going to favor those close quarter engagements all the more right now. But still, he's going to have to give his opponent an opportunity to secure those other weapons as well. This is great from cnz though, doing tremendous damage. DaHanG missing every last shot of his. cnz, can he pressure any further? Down to 10 points of health, but it looks like the Estonian won't chase just yet. Might be a bit of a mistake. He needs to land this shot. He will miss it, and DaHanG will land two. Catch up, another wasted opportunity for cnz. Back to the drawing board he goes, as it happens at such a bad time that DaHanG is able to immediately capitalize and pick up the major item due to that superior positioning.
That is a catastrophic miss, because now we have less than 3 minutes on the clock. DaHanG has been able to get so much stack on the back of that. And cnz, as you said, he's kind of having to go back to the drawing board here. Hitting that rail would have spelled so much momentum, the chance to push. He would have been quite healthy too, so pushing straight off a spawn would have been possible. Speaking of pushes, we're finally going to see one, and he can't get a bonus rail. That would have been such an important rail for DaHanG to land. The Mega is going to spawn now, cnz. I mean, sure, he needs armor. He needs armor bad, but...
Yeah, Heavy's about to spawn.
DaHanG probably heard that, so that's information.
I think there were two of those blasts that's connected too. Now DaHanG though, he doesn't have a lot of mobility to work with. He can play a bit more of a defensive game as cnz with that increased speed that just comes with the Anarchy is in a pretty good position to chase him down. If the champion picks were reversed, this would have been incredibly difficult for cnz to catch his opponent. Excellent use of the turret right there, forcing cnz not to push into the room. If cnz had rushed in, that turret would have been pelting him constantly in the back, and that is what DaHanG was counting on. cnz had to turn around, give up some ground, but in doing so he let his opponent pick up the Mega. And giving your opponent free stack this late into the game when all the pressure is on you is just about the last thing you want.
As like you quite rightly said, if the tables were turned and it was cnz that had the lead, this would be a scary situation for DaHanG. Because it is DaHanG that's in the lead. cnz is the one that has to at least use the speed to maybe chase down, but there's no way DaHanG's not aware of this exact situation, right? It's why his defensive positions have been so on point. Another good rail's gonna hit his mark. 2 rails! This is bad news for cnz, who I'm pretty sure didn't expect him to double back there either, and I think that's gonna spell GG DaHanG. His defensive shots have been too good. Nice call out on the spawn and a cute little angle. Didn't get the shot, of course, but it was a good idea. And with this Mega being taken, the stack is immense. And with the turret ready to rock, and that rail, this is just how you play that advancing game. DaHanG, very likely to win. There's so much work and really no time to get it done here for cnz. He needs to get these range shots, no damage in return, have enough stack to push as well, and he's just not equipped to do any of those things. DaHanG has played this so well.
Absolutely, and he is hitting the shots when they matter the most, while cnz is just dropping the ball when it comes to every one of those engagements. He had so many opportunities this map, Ketchup. It breaks my heart to see him miss those crucial rail shots time and time again, while DaHanG just dances barely out of sight and then just retaliates with these tremendously painful rockets and rails. It happened on Awoken, it happened just now on Ruins as well, and cnz. There were a few signs of life in there, but DaHanG basically ran with this map from start to finish, it felt like.
There's no way cnz isn't at least a little bit kicking himself after that one, because it's quite like, it's like you pointed out, we don't even really need to mention it because it was so out there, but that moment cnz had, he hit 2 rails, he just needed to hit the kill shot. He had plenty of stack to work with and he was in a position to get a good spawn as well, and he just missed the shot. And that one miss meant that DaHanG got his base stack right back up to nice and healthy. Started to play that game of strong defensive positions for another time. This was when he actually got the frag, but look at the clock, right? 2.5 minutes. He was supposed to have got a frag a minute before that as well. That would have been the moment to push in. And it is tragic for him that he wasn't able to land it, but it's great for DaHanG, and he's probably feeling good as we go into our 4th map here.
Yep, absolutely. That 41% railgun accuracy against the small and speedy Anarchy. I mean, that just says it all. DaHanG constantly applying pressure, cnz unable to retaliate. There were a few times where, as we discussed before jumping into the map, right, cnz needed that small armor. Every time he made a move for it, where was DaHanG? Ready to punish it. So often, we saw it time and time again. DaHanG is down below, picking up heavy, goes up the bounce pad. cnz is up there, trying to secure the small armor at the same time, and DaHanG's like, oh hey, you're right here with nowhere to run. Let me either kill you or do so much damage that you have to continuously run away, and I can just keep gobbling up every single major item on the map.
There was that first time that actually happened when DaHanG had shut down the light that was near Tribolt, and obviously cnz knew that, but there was no armor for him to take at all. So right as the Mega comes out, I think cnz thought, wait, this is a free time, maybe I'll try and squeeze this one in. And by the time he's done that, DaHanG is already there, and you're stuck at the point of no return. I think Ruins has at least a couple of those, right? You've got the one underneath near the light armor that DaHanG shut down, and then you've got the light that is near Super Shotgun. But that was yesterday's news. And when I say yesterday, I mean about 5 minutes ago. We're going into our 4th map now, Blood Covenant. This is make or break if you're in cnz's shoes here. Is DaHanG going to win this 3-1, or is this the point where we go to the decider?
Man, yesterday was only 5 minutes ago. Time flies when you're having
It does feel
fun.
like that, you know. It's been a fast week.
It does. It does. It has been a tremendous QuakeCon so far. Starting things off on DaHanG's point of view, keep in mind this is a best of 5. If DaHanG takes home this map, he will advance and cnz will drop out of the tournament. All the pressure is on him. This is crunch time. He needs to take home Blood Covenant. Now he is playing Visor, so he has that piercing sight, which you can use as a bit of a hard counter against that invisibility that Nyx possesses. But on the other hand, you're also slow. You don't have the same mobility. Can't do those fancy wall jumps that Nyx is so adept at. And that is going to give DaHanG a lot of free reign and movement around the map.
It's such a classic matchup, isn't it? The Nyx and the Visor always comes down to how the Visor player chooses to use their piercing sight. Some players like to use it as an answer to the Ghost Walk, some use it in spite of the Ghost Walk. Very much a player-by-player basis, but DaHanG on the Nyx, it fits his methodical style so well. Play these game of strong positions, but that one time you get caught out where you'd otherwise get fragged, the Ghost Walk is ready to rock and roll. An initial breakout, but no damage either way. I doubt either player is going to push this one too hard. The Mega's ready to go. Lovely positioning from cnz, who's already in position for Mega, and he wants to get some free damage first. And DaHanG.
Those were two beautiful vertical rails. Yeah, DaHanG had to pop the Invis right there. He's actually really close to cnz. The Estonian should push this. But DaHanG rocket jumping away with 11 points of health. I don't quite think cnz fully tracked his opponent's stack right there. After those two vertical rails, DaHanG had next to nothing to work with. cnz should have just absolutely chased at the moment DaHanG reappeared.
This is scary because the piercing sight's been used and DaHanG has no Ghost Walk. There's absolutely cnz's going to chase this one down, and he's going to look to control the Mega once more. This is still not bad for cnz as long as he keeps a stack lead. DaHanG has played an intelligent game of just sitting pretty, building on that base stack. He's not going to push too hard to take anything that puts him over because it's more obvious, more risks involved, and he's playing it nice and slow until he becomes healthy enough that he can start playing the rail game once more. If he can hit uncontested rails, all of the stack that cnz's built up will be non-existent and not important. Okay, that rocket information more than anything. Oh dear, big fight, and the Ghost Walk. Can he escape? That is the question. cnz, he has not been chasing very hard, but that's just cnz's way. He's not an aggressive player.
The problem is that I worry how that might end up going for him. He came so close to killing DaHanG twice already, and yet the American player from Liquid is still just running around as free as ever, getting back up to that base stack of 175 instantly. And cnz is no closer to getting the frag. DaHanG even have the Ghost Walk at the ready once more. So I feel like there's definitely been a few wasted opportunities, and the way that I can see this going is that if cnz keeps wasting these opportunities and DaHanG keeps doing that, it's just gonna backfire tremendously, because DaHanG is just gonna play the passive game. He's gonna be very restrained and measured, reading his opponent very nicely, dishing out the damage with those rails, and then before you know it, a situation like this arises, DaHanG landing some good shots. Luckily for cnz though, he manages to retaliate once, otherwise DaHanG would have stolen heavy and gotten out so easily and so stacked.
DaHanG, I have to say, he's been playing incredibly well to stay alive in all of these encounters. The fact that we're 3.5 minutes in and he's been at death's door about 3 separate times, yet his careful style of play. You don't always have to play for those larger items. Blood Covenant, there's plenty of pickups around the map.
And now he even has managed to steal away a Mega. DaHanG, if he drops down to pick up that small armor, he'll basically have a stack advantage to work with as well. Heavy is up, he's eyeing it. cnz, knowing that he isn't in the best of shape right now.
But cnz's aware of DaHanG's playstyle too. You're noticing that he's kind of leaving these items up now. He knows that DaHanG's not pushing in for them and he's looking for range damage. So cnz's kind of like, okay, well, if you want to do that, I'll just hit you first and then take it. He has been able to pick up the Mega, though. We're watching this from DaHanG's point of view the entire time. He's having to play with extra caution as well because of the piercing sight. You always have to be on the expectation that when I go around this corner, there might be a rail in my face.
I think CnZ has definitely realized his mistakes from that initial few minutes, leaving DaHanG alive so many times while just going for the items time and time again. He's realized that that is not the way to go about this. He's giving his opponent too much room, too many rooms for error. Rails masterfully. cnz now the one on the run. DaHanG right above him. Can he catch his opponent out? cnz, you don't want to go up to this heavy, brother. Makes the smart decision to turn around, and now back to the drawing board. cnz has to restack. He's only at half of his base armor, not even at 100 points of health. And DaHanG wants to turn this around, and quickly too. Beautiful little flick right there, and that is going to guarantee him an uncontested Mega, as cnz simply lacks the resources to make a move on it.
Now the tables have turned. DaHanG is the one that leads the charge in terms of stack, but cnz is going to have that all-important resource of the piercing sight. He's going to have the extra information. He's going to know how to stay safe here. But while staying safe, likely that he's going to get information from this heavy if he used the piercing sight now, but it doesn't look like he did. It does seem like he's holding on to it. There it is. It has now finally been used. The question is, does DaHanG know it's been used? Because there wasn't a lot of dead giveaways that it was activated.
I think DaHanG's mouse just malfunctioned. He zoomed in. Ketchup, did you catch that? Surely that can't be right, as he pressures cnz mercilessly, of course. Visor, not much to work with in terms of mobility. Has to get out quick. He knows that DaHanG is railing. Yeah, rails exchanged. One more will kill either player. But DaHanG gets the better recovery instantly with that heavy right behind them.
They're both able to somewhat stabilize, though. Ready for the double jump. That is an impressive set of preparation there from cnz. The fact that he had that angle set through the teleporter means he knows this matchup. This is bad news for DaHanG. Only 7 HP left to go. A little bit of health thanks to the light, but we have to go back to where we began. But he's ready for the Ghost Walk. That was a clutch activation. Any later and he would have been toast. Whew. We're still at 0. I can't believe we're still at 0-0, by the way. I feel like we've had frags, but we haven't.
The amount of damage that has been exchanged for this to still be a tied game at 0 points is pretty obscene. Ketchup. Now, the items. Basically a perfect tie. Doesn't look like either player will be able to establish control of this. We've seen control exchange hands a few times. It's mainly been cnz, at least at the beginning of the game, who's been running the items, but unable to make anything happen with it.
I actually think this might be an interesting setup. DaHanG heard that piercing sight, and he's going to know that it's down for a fair while. So if he wants to use an aggressive Ghost Walk to get that surprise attack, especially now he's got heavy, he has a higher success rate of doing this now because cnz can't just re-answer back with a piercing sight to shut it down. He's still got 20 seconds. I do wonder if DaHanG is going to continue to hold it, or whether he's going to use that down to piercing sight to his advantage. Looking like it's going to be a bit harder to do it now, though. Some tri-bolt damage to undo most of that heavy progress. The longer it stays 1-1, the higher of a chance cnz tends to have, though. Remember, his clutch factor displayed yesterday, his patience all the way until the bitter end, has led him to this far in the bracket. If we go into sudden death, I'd almost say that maybe it favors cnz. Oh, the miss! That's information as well.
Oh. This has been the longest standoff in this situation I've ever seen. Tri-bolt finally meeting rail. Both players breaking away. Looks like DaHanG. Extremely good read from the American right there. Heavy is actually still up. cnz, if he goes to the bounce pad now, he might be in trouble. No, he takes the right route to secure himself this piece of armor at least. This might as well be overtime, Ketchup. We're running out of time as we're about to enter the final minute of this ever so important map, at least for cnz. He needs to win this one or he's out of the tournament altogether.
Little did we know that this has pretty much been sudden death for 9 minutes, the way things have been going. DaHanG, he needs to be able to get some light. That one rail, pretty much means there's nothing cnz can do to stop that. And he's going to get an even bigger burst of it thanks to the heavy. DaHanG, he's not going to rocket jump. He's going to keep as much stack as possible. And here comes the potential attack. Has to use the Ghost Walk to go through the LG. That would have been scary to get caught in that position. But DaHanG knows Ghost Walk's ready. We can afford to make the chase.
Good escape from cnz right there, turning to the right and jumping through that doorway. That made it so that if DaHanG had decided to follow, the American would have to push through that dangerous choke point, and a barrage of rockets would no doubt be coming his way. So instead, he decided not to risk it, instead just turning around, repositioning himself cleverly, heavy as a pickup, while as cnz takes away the Mega. Now DaHanG had an advantage, had the better stack and rotation for a while there, but cnz cleverly managing to reset it by positioning himself in a way that DaHanG couldn't realistically chase on through with the Ghost Walk.
And we are, by all accounts, entering sudden death. This is going to be a one-frag Blood Covenant. Not the first time we've seen it. Seems like a Quake Pro League Finals thing to have these kind of situations. Now, this is where the patience gets tested all the way through. The opening rail from DaHanG. If he gets a second one of those, it's not. It's answered back by cnz. With both of these items being ripe for the taking, is someone going to push in, or are we going to both take one each? It looks more likely that that's the path we're going to take. A tiny delay between the two items, so there is going to be that nature of a player maybe breaking the cycle. Scary to do so in a sudden death situation where one frag is going to be the decider, but remember, the pressure really is on cnz here. He's 2-1 down to DaHanG. If DaHanG wins this and gets this frag, he will be moving on and cnz will be out of the World Championship, but if he wins, we're going into a final map. Chat, if you prefer either of these two players, let us know right now. There might not be much time left!
That defensive rocket was so clutch from cnz. If he had missed that one, I think DaHanG would have chased. Now DaHanG, of course, is a bit more comfortable taking these aggressive encounters because he knows he still has the Ghost Walk up. When it comes down to it, if a situation turns bad, Visor has nothing to help him out, whereas DaHanG, with that invisibility, can escape, reposition, restack very easily. So he will probably be playing this a little bit more aggressively than his opponent cnz. Quick use of the Ghost Walk right there. This is not bad for cnz. Manages to force out that ability, and now he has a window for action.
Prioritizing it so he stays near the hourglasses, though, shaving off a considerable amount of time from the cooldown. It's already going to be back in 20 seconds, and as the heavy is ripe for the taking, 15 seconds, he's going to have that utility ready to rock. I like how DaHanG was able to manage this. He's going to have Ghost Walk a little bit before cnz actually has his piercing sight. Not that I really think it's going to mean much. DaHanG in sudden death, it looks like he's more likely to hold on to it. Misses the rail shot. cnz looking for another one. That is a really big rail to land. Watch out, DaHanG. Making us all wobble with that one. That was a clencher. It's a scary time to be caught. He hears the jump pad. He is way outstacked.
Oh, I think he got a glimpse of his opponent right there, though. Rockets flying around his face. He's railable. Mega spawns at just the right time. cnz can't get the shot off in time.
He's still railable.
Yeah, he still is.
Only just not now. The 100 health.
Still rocketable. Still rocketable. A direct to the face.
Flea, there's no armor to be had. This is a very scary game to play. DaHanG is in big trouble. He has to play with his cards. Get his cards right. That's what I meant. That's actually the term. I don't even know why I did before. cnz, this is the chance to chase it down. He goes the rocket jump, but he loses the angle. This could be make or break for cnz. Can he hit the shot? No, DaHanG. He's still railable at 60 HP. cnz goes for the chase. There is no Ghost Walk, no backup plan for DaHanG. If the rockets come through now, they will take him out and move us on to a final map. But there's plenty of time for DaHanG to maybe get out with his life. The light, it's too predictable. There's no way he's going to go for it. He's going to go for heavy first, but cnz has the right idea. He's now going to be able to tank at least one. He has the Ghost Walk. It's back. What a fight that was. And if DaHanG wins now, this will be ridiculous.
I am gripping my chair so tightly, Ketchup. This is such an incredible match we're witnessing. Good rail from DaHanG. Oh no, cnz, bad spot to be in right now. DaHanG, can he finish it off?
This could be the end, and it will be the finish. DaHanG! What a map that was. But it's going to go to the American in the end. Oh my days! That was insane.
I feel for cnz. I feel he is going to be disappointed with that performance because he had opportunities aplenty. Ketchup. So many situations where he could have capitalized off greatly, and I think that that is one of the main things that will be holding him back. We keep talking about how much of a disciplined, measured player he is, but that can also really just come back and bite you if you can't change things up when you have to. And he had the opportunities. DaHanG was sub 50 HP numerous times, but he just wasn't able to just push on through, and instead favored getting positioning or items when he really should have gone for the frag.
Well, I think we all need to recover on the back of that one, and I got to give shouts to cnz for his journey this weekend. We'll touch on it a little bit more in a couple of minutes' time. We're going to go for a quick break and set up the future of the stream. Don't go anywhere. Quake World Championships Sunday. We'll be right back.